What is going on YouTube? It has been a minute, probably like 2.5, 3 months close to. Sorry I haven't been making any videos. We really haven't been doing anything racing oriented. Just been doing the summer thing, vacations, hanging out with family and friends. We ended up getting a new boat and pretty much been boating and surfing all summer. It's just too hot. I don't like being out racing when it's like 90 degrees, sweating, can't think straight. It's just not for me. I'd rather be out in the water. So we've just been spending a lot of time out in the water and we've had a blast this summer, but it's time to get back to racing. And unfortunately, this isn't really one of the video I wanted to start on. We have a race in 2 weeks and that's where I was gonna really start filming again, but I was out testing and I hurt the motor. I don't think it's hurt real bad, not sure, but I was doing a pull and all of a sudden I had a lot of smoke and oil go everywhere. I actually thought I like blew it up. But come to find out, it just pushed oil through the catch can and it was leaking out the valve cover. So I got a lot of crankcase pressure. So I bore scoped the cylinder walls. I'll throw the photo up here. And as you can see, one side, you can still see like the crosshatch and the other side is kind of smooth looking. So I think I fried a ring. Hopefully I didn't score up the walls real bad, and just quick bead hone and some new rings, and hopefully she'll be good to go. It runs fine. It doesn't even smoke or anything. It's just pushing a lot of crankcase pressure. I'm getting leakage around the valve cover when I get into like heavy boost. If I just drive it normal, it's fine. It don't even smoke or nothing. So I'm hoping it's just the rings just kind of lost their seal. I ended up doing a leak down test and I got a lot of leak in 2 and 4, and 2 and 4 is where I can see the smooth cylinder walls. So I'm thinking I just kind of burn up some rings. Hopefully that's all it is. But unfortunately, we have a race in 2 weeks and I got to pull the motor. So today I'm going to be pulling the head, dropping the pan and pulling the pistons, leaving the motor in, just kind of see what happened. And then if I have to pull the motor, we will. And it's not that hard to just pull the motor without the head, get it undone from the tranny and just lift it out. So today I'm going to take everything out, take the head off. Another problem I was having was my alternator was having voltage issues. I ended up going to an external voltage regulator so I could adjust it. Well, I was adjusting it yesterday and all of a sudden I just kind of lost my alternator. So I'm not sure if it's the regulator doing it, the alternator, I'm not sure. So I'm thinking about just going back to the standard alternator regulator that's internal and just leaving it the way it is. Since I don't have a lot of electrical load anymore, I got rid of the fuel pump. Just going back to our normal alternator regulator may be okay. So that's another thing we got to figure out, but let's get to this tear out. I'll put you guys on a timeline and get this head off. Open. I'm going to show you guys what I saw on the bore scope. So let me zoom in. And I think this is what's happening. So you see the little bit of rusty stuff is just the ethanol and rusting cylinder walls. But you can see there, you can actually see like the crosshatch still in there. And then look over here, you see the difference where it's just rubbed smooth and there's no hatch left. And it's very, very smooth. Like if I run my finger across it, it gets real slick and smooth. And here, you can actually like, well, not really feel a difference, but oh yeah, with your fingernail you can. So it's kind of rough here. It's rough where the hatch is. If you rub your fingernail, you can kind of feel the roughness. And then you get over here, it's completely smooth. So I think that's what the blow by is. So it just needs a hand hone bead and some new rings hopefully. Let's turn it over and see number 4, what's happening there. All right, you can see the same with number 4 here. So you see, this is a little bit better example. You can see the crosshatch right there, and then boom, smooth, right? So that smoothness there, I think is where the ring is just not sealing anymore. So probably just overheated the rings. Same over here, you can see it started to do it over here on the left side, and you can see the crosshatch still there, and then over there it's getting smooth. I think really all it needs is just a hand hone and some new rings, and cross fingers, that'll be good to go. Here's the dilemma. Do I want to pull the motor to do that, or do I want to do it inside the car? Honestly, it's not that hard to pull this with the head off. It's really not. I can get to the bolts fairly easy. So I think I'm just going to pull it because I can go ahead and do my winter bearing maintenance. So this winter I was going to go ahead and look at the mains to see how they're surviving. This motor's about a year old now, a little bit shy of a year old. And I just kind of want to see how the mains are holding up. Remember, we did rod bearing changes, I don't know, right before I kind of took my break. So the rod bearings should look great. And I don't even know if I'll replace them. I might. They're out of the car, so I'll probably go ahead and just throw some new rod bearings in it. But definitely going to get new mains in it. But I really want to see how the mains are holding up. So this is kind of forcing us to do that. Head gasket looked great. No problems there. Jeremy Allen studs are holding up. Thanks, Jeremy. And I mean, it was holding a lot of power. Unfortunately, it's just kind of name of the game with the rings. You can't run these motors in 4 digits and never worry about anything. It's kind of high maintenance, and I'm still messing with different fueling and trying to see where it likes fuel. I may have ran it a little hot, so we might have to richen up the fuel a bit. I'll have to talk to some guys and see what their opinions are. But now I'm going to go ahead and I guess I'm gonna go ahead and get my cherry picker and pull the motor out. It's probably best to do it that way. I know there's a lot of guys that will just do a hone and ring job with the motor in, but I know Jeremy is very eerie on it, just because if you miss any particulate that goes down in the cylinder walls and gets in the mains, you could spin a main as soon as you start the motor up, and we don't want to do that. Not only that, but if I do this now, I really don't have to tear the motor apart this winter. I'll probably only have a handful of races on it, and I'll be good for the next season. So we're gonna go ahead and probably just pull the motor. I'm gonna go ahead and send some of these photos to Jeremy, see what he thinks, and I'll go ahead and get my stuff to get this motor out. All right, I just got my stand and my picker. I gotta get it in my trailer. It's kind of a pain, but it is what it is. So I was just talking to my buddy Josh Ross from Ross Performance in Washington. He's the one that built my trans originally. Really smart guy. I take his advice to heart because he's never done me wrong. And he said he knows exactly what's going on. He said, most likely your cranking fuel is too high, and I'm washing the cylinders on crank, what's happening is that there's too much fuel. It washes down the cylinders, then there's no oil, then the pistons and rings go up and down and smooth out the crosshatch, and essentially just kind of scraping away any kind of seal that I have. And being it's happening on multiple cylinders, it makes sense. So what I'm gonna have to do is relook at my tune, starting fuel, and basically just take all the fuel out, start putting a little fuel in at a time until it does finally crank. Another thing he said is to actually rev up the motor right before you turn it off. So kind of just rev it up to 3,000 or so and then turn it off. And what that does is it pushes a lot of the fuel out. At idle, a lot of fuel can build up, and then when you shut it off, the fuel just kind of washes down and goes on the walls and washes the oil away. Especially when you're talking ethanol and methanol style fuels, it really eats oil really quick. So that is what Josh said. So I didn't think it was the tune related. The air to fuel looks really good. Plugs look great. Car's making a lot of power. It feels great. And there's really no signs of anything getting hot. I mean, I haven't taken the pistons out yet, and we'll look at that. But it doesn't look like stuff's getting hot. So that makes way more sense. So we're almost back. We're gonna go ahead and pull this block out. Well, she's out. There she is in all her glory. Well, let's get her on the stand. Gotta take all the billet shit off and get her on the stand. Hey guys, well, I skipped all the boring stuff because you guys have seen that before. Everything looks really good. Like I said, the motor was running great. We just had really bad blow-by. Shiny snout there. Nothing's micro welding. Everything looks really nice. So we're gonna get the pistons and rods out, lay them out here, and then we'll go ahead and check out these main bearings. But interested to see how our piston skirts look. Hopefully they're good. Hopefully I can just kind of get any scoring off with like a Brillo pad and slap them back in with a good hone, and they should be good. Of course, we'll have to wait for rings from Jeremy, but he's already on that, so we're good to go. All right, so something I noticed when I was taking the pistons out, number one almost completely just fell out. There was no ring tension at all. And that means like the rings to the walls, there's just no seal, there's no grip. So that's definitely what was going on with the blow-by. Other than that, I haven't cleaned them up at all, but that right there is the worst. And they all look really good. As you can see, a little wear there, but that's from the big stroke. They all have that wear from the stroke, but no rubbage at all. They all look really good. I haven't really cleaned them up really good yet. So this was number one. This is the one that pretty much just fell out, but that's pretty normal wear there on the skirt from the long stroke. And everything looks good. So the rings are just wore out. The cylinders just have no grip. So I'm gonna go eat lunch, and then we're gonna go ahead and yank this crank out.
20 minutes later.
All right, guys, we got the crank out, and this is my worst main bearing, which, if that's the worst, that's pretty dang good. Look at these bearings. They almost look brand new. These are ACL, extra clearance. So here's our top and bottom. They look pretty much brand new. I'm gonna throw a new set in, and then our rod bearings have our normal, kind of normal wear. I didn't clean these up yet, but I mean, steel rod, they're gonna get some wear to them. But they look really good. They're not banged up. So yeah, they look nice. I'm gonna clean the pistons up and I'll show you guys the pistons, but as far as just looking at them, they look great. We're gonna clean them up. We're gonna inspect them really close, alcohol them. Block looks good. Of course, cylinder walls have a little bit of that smoothness where they rub the hatch off, but nothing crazy. So we should just be able to do a quick hand hone with these, get some new rings, and I think we'll be back in business. But let's go ahead and clean up some of these pistons and see if we can see them. All right, we got the pistons out and clean, and they look really good. So I ended up taking a little bit of cloth and just kind of going right through that area. As you can see, a little bit of trash in there. So just kind of smoothing that area out. And again, right through there and right through there. But it's nice and smooth now. And that's really the only problem. This is nothing. It's very smooth. That's just from rocking in the walls. Those scratches look worse on camera, but I can tell you, like, they're very smooth. So, looks really good. Our bushing looks really good. It's not smashed out. Pin looks good. Slides right in and out. And the bearings look good. So, everything looks good. The rings really didn't seem torn up or anything. They're not scarred or nothing, or any sharp edges. They feel good. So yeah, I think what Josh was saying about too much fuel washing the cylinder walls must have been what happened. So we're gonna clean the rest of them up and go from there. All right, guys, well, this is number one. So this was the one that pretty much just fell out. And as you can see, it's the shiniest. The rest of these guys have carbon on them. So as you can see, this one was getting a little bit of an oil bath. I never saw oil up here, but a telltale sign if you got oil or water is it starts to kind of break up the carbon and it makes it kind of shiny again. So this is the one that just kind of fell out. The rings seem fine. The cylinder walls, and number one, you can see where it's smooth there. It lost its crosshatch, and over here it still has some. That light's kind of bright. There you go, and kind of see. So over there you can see that hole, and that's actually the intake side, right? Oh no, that's the exhaust side. The exhaust side is all worn. And then also on 2, it's mainly the kind of exhaust slash front of the motor. It's from about here to here. It's kind of smooth. Same with this. It's more the exhaust side. You can see where the hatch is. Hatch looks good on the intake side. Exhaust side, the hatch is pretty much gone. And same with this. You can see the exhaust side, hatch is pretty much gone. This side, intake side, still has some hatch left. So yeah, we just wore it out. So basically, I talked to Jeremy, and he kind of agreed with Josh's too much crank fuel. I don't think this happens under power. I don't think it was like wearing the ring out under power. I don't think I was washing cylinders out under power, because we actually had like really good, I got crap all over me. We had great air to fuel ratios. We had really good EGTs, like all that stuff checks out. Plugs looked really good. So don't think it's watt and throttle fueling. I think it's the crank fueling, and maybe even the idle fueling could be just really rich and it's just washing the walls out. So I'm gonna have to go back on my tune, take all the fuel out from crank fuel and slowly add some in until it starts. I might just be throwing way too much at it. It does start right up, which is great, but I don't want to keep having to re-ring the motor if I'm washing cylinder walls out. So, but luckily that's all it is. I know it kind of sucks to have your whole motor all over your workbench, but obviously when you see something like vitals coming out, there's something going on and you just got to tear it down. If I let this go, this could get worse. We could potentially have a very catastrophic issue, and we don't want that. I'm very happy with the mains. The mains look amazing. I think I could probably get 2+ years, maybe even 3 years on main bearings. Rod bearings, of course, probably gonna stick to 8 to 10 months replacing those just to make sure they're happy. But the mains look absolutely amazing. So I'm gonna stick with ACL HXs on both ends. Everything looks good. We're gonna stick to the same bearings, the same clearances, because it all looks really good. So talk to Jeremy. He's gonna get me a set of rings. We're gonna go ahead and hand hone this sucker. Cylinders don't look bad at all. And I did clean up. 2 of the pistons had very, very, very slight scuffing. So I just cleaned it up with some emery cloth and some WD-40 and smoothed it right out. So we should make the race. Rings should probably be here next week. I'll go ahead and hand hone this probably maybe today or tomorrow, and then probably put it together slowly through next week, and then this coming weekend I'll throw the motor back together, back in the car, try to get a couple test hits, make sure everything's good. I need to figure out my alternator problems too. Like I said, I'm probably just gonna go back to a factory alternator setup and get rid of the external deal, but I'll get to that later. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the rings in each hole. I wanna see if the ring gap opened up. Well guys, that's pretty much gonna do it for this video. Really from here on out, I'm just cleaning everything up, getting all the RTV off everything. All I have to really do is hand hone the block and wait for rings. I did get some more bearings, which I have bearings, but I always like to kind of replenish what I got in case they're not in stock. But I'm gonna go with the same bearing shells, exact same setup. I did throw the ring in and measured the end gap, and it's exactly what it was when I installed it. So that means they didn't really like wear bad. I must have just washed the cylinder walls out and yeah, lost the crosshatch and you get blow by. So we should be good to go after a hone and ring job. So I'll have you guys on that video, probably gonna be next week. But sorry for the long delay, but videos should be coming now. Race season is coming back full force. We should be out racing. We'll probably take some weekends here and there and do some boating, but we'll get back into racing, get back into some videos, and rock on from there. All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Comment, like, and subscribe if you like what you're watching. I'll see you guys later.